What if you get to a point where your investigator and your decision maker disagree? Or your investigator and legal, or decision maker and legal, or where you have different parties disagree? So first of all, recognize that with the preponderance standard, that is entirely possible and acceptable. Two people can look at the same evidence and disagree, just like in juries. They listen to the same testimony, hear the same evidence, and a lot of times disagree. So remember that first. Second, your policy mandated decision maker should have the authority to make the decision. Don't allow other people, after the decision maker makes the decision, for other people to come in and change it or influence. They're either the decision maker or they're not. Whoever makes that final call is your decision maker, and that should be the person sitting in your hearing. So it could be appropriate for, say, after the decision maker writes up the report, maybe you want someone in your general counsel office to read it just to ensure that it's legally sound, that that you've answered all of the questions and included everything that needs to be included. But you need to decide in advance that relationship. What does that mean? Does that member of general counsel actually have authority to tell you you're wrong, that you're making the wrong decision, or is it simply a review saying, you need to beef up this argument a little bit more. You haven't actually quite met the legal standard here, so you need to talk about this a little more. So if you have someone who is there to review it, make sure they know what their job is and they stay focused on the job. And if you are going to allow them to make changes to become part of that, then you're making them decision makers, and you need to include them as decision makers. It's a slippery slope if you allow people who are not advertised as your decision makers to influence decisions. You don't want to go there. And then as you write it up, how you write it matters. Use the words from your policy, but remember, you're not investigating whether someone is guilty or innocent. So never say that a person has been found innocent. Title IX investigation was completed and the respondent was found innocent. That is not accurate because that's not what you're doing. You're not proving someone innocent. You would have to have very clear evidence. And if you have that, then you have a false allegation. And there should be a separate investigation into the false allegation. So that would be a very rare occurrence. You are investigating whether the available evidence supports the allegations to the preponderance standard or clear and convincing. That's it. So that's what your finding should say. There is a finding that the evidence supports the allegations to the preponderance standard, or there is not a finding. The evidence did not meet the standard. You are not defining guilt or innocence. You're defining whether or not the evidence meets the standard and supports the allegations. So use the proper language. It's not, in the vast majority of cases, it is not accurate to say someone is innocent. You're saying there's a finding or no finding.